It's the Real News Network. I'm Sharmini Paris, and welcome back to my conversation with Shir Hever. We are discussing how Israeli gas companies, aided by U.S. gas companies, is siphoning gas from the Gaza Strip and its reserves held off the shore of Gaza. Thank you so much for joining me again, Shir.
Thank you, Sharmini.
So, Shir, this whole issue has legal implications because the Gaza Strip is officially under military occupation and under martial law. And you had indicated to me that under the Fourth Geneva Convention, which Israel is signatory to, this is strictly forbidden. So, explain that to us and also tell us who's pillaging resources from where.
Yeah, I actually learned from this SOMO report that according to international customary law, which is actually much older than the Geneva Convention, dating back to 1907, it is forbidden for an occupying power to take possession of immovable assets, and that includes natural gas, without the permission of the local population. That means Israel would be allowed, theoretically, to allow Palestinian companies to exploit their own gas, provided that all of the income from that gas would be used for the benefit of the Palestinian population. That is allowed under international law. But once Israeli companies are taking a natural resource from an occupied territory and then repackaging it or giving it a different label and calling it Israeli gas and selling it mainly to Europe, also to Jordan and other places, without disclosing the fact that some of that gas has been siphoned off from the Gaza Strip, they are actually committing an act of pillage. And that is a very serious offense, punishable by international law. And I certainly hope that at some point Israeli officials and also owners and managers of Noble Energy will be taken into account.
Right. And Shir, in addition to the pillaging of Palestinian natural gas, the SOMO report also criticizes the natural gas exploration and drilling that's taking place near Lebanese territorial waters. In fact, there is a dispute between Israel and Lebanon about where exactly the territorial waters and borders lie, and former Israeli Minister of Energy, Uzi Landau, even threatened war with Lebanon over the natural gas fields. What can Lebanon do if Noble Energy starts drilling its territorial waters?
Well, Noble Energy is already drilling very close to the Lebanese territorial waters in the field called Tamar. And there is a dispute along the border, which is based on how you measure the angle from the shoreline that defines where the territorial waters of one country end and the other begin. Lebanon signed international agreements and tries to resolve the issue with Israel through some kind of mediation, but Israel refuses to have any kind of conversation about this and simply claims the whole territory as its own. In addition to that, in the last couple of years, Israel has strongly reinforced its navy and is quickly buying warships, attack corvettes, and also military submarines. And all of that is mentioned by the Israeli government as part of the need of the Israeli government to protect its strategic asset of natural gas. So it's clear that the Israeli government is not willing to entertain any kind of compromise on that issue. At the moment, there's not so much that Lebanon can do except to appeal to international mediators, but such international organizations are rather weak. In the end, it's a political question, and if the European Union will simply turn a blind eye to the Israeli aggression in the Mediterranean, I don't think that international organizations like the International Court in The Hague will be able to do anything.
Right. And Shir, the European Union, by buying the gas, would be at risk of becoming complicit in this act of pillage. Explain what that means and why they would be complicit.
There is a very complicated logistics question in transferring natural gas across long distances, because the natural gas has to be liquidated, turned into a liquid, and then transported. on pipes at the bottom of the sea, and that's very deep, and it's not so easy to lay those pipes. And so this is a very complex project and very expensive one, which involves many different countries. That means that Greece and Italy, and actually the European Commission as well, are not only involved in just buying a product, which has been produced illegally because part of it is produced through pillage, but they're also involved in the process of financing the laying of these pipes, planning them, giving authorizations for the companies that would lay the pipes and so on. So these are all agreements that are done on the state level. And the SOMO report makes a very important point here, that whenever such agreements are being signed or even negotiated, it's the responsibility of all sides to have due diligence to questions of international law and human rights. And if European countries are aware, and they are indeed aware, as the SOMO report is available to them to read, that there are legal issues and that the Palestinian government is losing its sovereignty over its own natural resources, they have an obligation, according to international law, not to cooperate with that project. If they still continue to cooperate with it, that makes them culpable and exposes them to lawsuits.
All right, Shir, important issue. I thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to further reports from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Harmony.
And thank you for joining us here on the Real News Network.